What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of NFL picks. It's week 9, and after this week, it will be the official halfway point of the season. So, as the calendar turns to November, we're really getting down to it here in this season. So, without further ado, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. Last week went 8-5, which is all right overall record for the season, 76, 44, and 1. Looking at the teams on a bye week, the Cleveland Browns, they're on a bye week, 2-6. Really not a shocking season for Cleveland if you look at it in the grand scheme of things. The New York Jets just got their first win. A great way to go into the bye week for that Jets team, and then two of the best teams in the NFC, the Eagles and the Buccaneers, both going into their bye weeks at a very strong 6-2 for both squads. So, getting right into the action for week 9, starting off with Thursday Night Football. The Ravens and the Dolphins, two teams that are coming off wins. And for the Dolphins, obviously, they had their way with the Falcons on Sunday. And, they got it done. We saw this Miami team look the funnest they have had. And probably a few years, honestly. That offense, it looked the most smooth it had in a few years. Tua had a great game. Jalen Waddle. They ran all over the Falcons, and we could talk about that for another day. And Baltimore, really, that win that they had versus Chicago is what you call a survival win. They were just looking for a win. And the fact that they were able to pull it off, I think it definitely does. It has an effect on how a lot of Ravens fans, I think, do view this season moving forward, especially with the big story in this game. Lamar Jackson is going to be back for the Ravens. So, as far as the game goes in itself, being on a short week, anything could happen. But I think with Lamar back, and you just saw Derrick Henry get going versus Chicago, I think the Ravens are really looking to start putting together a streak. And when, them getting their guys back too, they're in a good position to do that. So I think the Ravens are going to win. I think they put some points up on the board. Miami, I'm really just going to have to see them do it for another week. We know the Falcons are very inconsistent, so I need to see Miami do it for another week. If they could win this game, I definitely think it helps Mike McDaniel a lot. But I just think the Baltimore Ravens are going to come into Miami and win. Lamar has a great history in Miami. He's from down there. I think the Ravens, they're going to get a win, and, they're going to try to get their season back on track here. Heading into the Sunday slate, the 49ers at the Giants from MetLife Stadium. The biggest concern for the 49ers in this one is making sure all your guys stay healthy. Obviously, MetLife is one of the roughest turfs in the NFL, and whenever San Francisco goes up there, it always seems as if the 49ers, they suffer an injury. But outside of that, San Francisco is a better team. Cam Scadaboo going out for the Giants, really, it really sucks overall if you're a football fan, especially if you're a Giants fan. And that was a lot of the source of their offense. So I think, especially with that, the 49ers, they're going to come out. I think they're going to get a win. And they're going to go to 6-3 on the year. The Giants are going to go to 2-7. Next, the Chargers and Titans. The Titans are one of the worst teams in football. It feels like there's zero life with that team, period. Even with Cam Ward, he's not being done any justice in that situation. And the Chargers are just a way better team. They're way better coached. So I expect the Chargers to go in there and they get a win. So I think the Chargers, they win 27-16. You may see the Titans keep it a little close at home, but I mean, once again, it's been a very rough year for the Titans, so I think the Chargers should go in there and they should take care of business and get a win. Next, a divisional matchup in the NFC North, the Vikings and the Lions, and this is a very big spot, I think, for the Vikings if they are going to try to stay in this thing. They have a very rough schedule coming up, and J.J. McCarthy coming back does help, but we have not seen a lot of J.J. McCarthy. I don't think we really still know fully what we're getting with J.J. McCarthy and this Vikings team. He's really only had one great quarter all year, and you're going into Detroit. This is really that time of year that they like to stack these wins. It's a very tough environment to play in. The Lions are a better team. I'm gonna pick the Lions to win. I think they get it done, and I think they put some points up. So give me the Lions 34-20. Next, the Falcons and the Patriots. And look, as a Falcons fan, for the longest time, I've tried to keep belief in the team, tried to look for the positives, even, with how questionable this coaching staff has been. I've tried to look at positives and really tried to buy into this roster and that, they could win this team some games that, otherwise coaching could hold us back in. And this is probably a game that in years past, I'd still try to find a way that the Falcons can win. I think the only way the Falcons can win this game you can justify is we're the Falcons. And the one thing we're consistent at is being inconsistent. With that being said, New England is a much better team. They're way better coached and they're at home. I think the Patriots are going to have their way with the Falcons. And also, the Patriots are the one team that the Falcons have not beaten in the 21st century. I don't see that changing here. Do I think there's a 0% chance? It's the Falcons, so anything can happen. But I think that we're going to see the Patriots come out. We're going to see them lay into the Falcons because after you lose like that to the Dolphins, it really it can send your season downward spiral. And that's unfortunately I think where the Falcons could be headed, especially looking at this tough schedule coming up. So yeah, I think the Patriots are going to put some points up, 40-13. They're going to win in dominating fashion. Next up, the Colts and the Steelers. And the Colts, obviously, they've been the best team in the NFL through 8 weeks. Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor is really playing at an MVP level. As far as the Steelers go, obviously there's been some disappointment so far with how it's turned out. They're still leading that division. But it feels like Pittsburgh, they need a big win. And with the Colts, I will say this. 7-1, you look at it, they are probably due for another loss here eventually. It's always tough to go into Pittsburgh and play regardless. And it is starting to get a little more chilly up there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick the Steelers. I think it could be a high scoring game. But I think in the end, the Steelers, maybe it's off of like a 2-point conversion. They get the job done. They win 32-31 over the Colts, handing them their second loss of the year. Next, the Broncos and the Texans. And Denver is another team that they are a very quiet 6-2, but that defense is playing good. And Sean Payton has Bo Nix playing absolutely amazing. They just got the big win versus Dallas. They're atop that AFC West this year. And, obviously, it's been a great start to the season. Now, for Houston, they're trying to get their season back on track. They're trying to get back into the thick of what could be the playoff race. And you get a big win versus the 49ers. It definitely does help you. And I definitely will say that I think Denver's another team. They are due for a loss at some point. They have been playing some of these games close. And you're going into Houston. That team has a little bit of momentum going for them, and they're at home. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick the Texans to win. I think they get the job done here. So give me the Texans 27-24 to top off the Broncos. Next, the Bears and the Bengals. And Cincinnati, that loss, I think, was absolutely detrimental to them getting their season back on track. If you could have just won that game, you're really, I think, looking at your season being back on. But now, it's really, I think, going to be rough. I think that's a loss that it hurts any momentum that you had going. And for the Bears, man, they've been having a quietly good year also. They did lose to the Ravens, so they're going to look to bounce back. But, it really feels like with Ben Johnson, you do see a change in the Bears. I think the Bears are going to come out. I think this could be another offensive game. But I think the Bears are going to come out and win this game. I think, this could be a big spot for that offense to come into Cincinnati, a defense that, if Justin Fields can do that to them, then, you would think that certainly an improved Chicago Bears offense with Ben Johnson could put up a similar performance. So I think the Bears are going to go in. I think they put up points. I do think it's a shootout and a close game, but I think the Bears win 34-31 to go to 5-3. The Bengals drop to 3-6. Next, the Panthers and the Packers in Green Bay. And Carolina, I really feel like, they had to come back down to reality game versus Buffalo. And we obviously saw, the 3 game winning streak. They were riding a lot of highs, but when you lose to Buffalo, it can really just remind you who you actually are. And now you're going into Green Bay. Panthers fans have, just got to be looking at this matchup, rolling their eyes. And Green Bay also, they are a very good team. They have, I believe, if it ended today, Green Bay would be the number 1 seed in the NFC at 5-1-1. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think the Packers win. I think they are gonna blow the Panthers out. Obviously, going into Lambeau at this time of year, this is really the time that especially for a team down south, even if they do play outside, it starts to get tough. So unless the Panthers can establish that running game, I don't see a scenario where they win. And I still don't. I think the Packers win. I think they blow them out 30-10. Heading into the late window, the Saints and the Rams. There's really not much else to say. The Rams are going to absolutely kill them. Next, the Jaguars and the Raiders. Jacksonville got a very big win versus Kansas City. Since then, they've went back down to reality. Now, I do think this is a game that, coming off the bye week, Jacksonville really has to reflect. If they want to be in the playoff race, which they still are, you gotta win. You gotta win this game. This is a game you have to go in and you have to win. I think the Jaguars will. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to get it done. I think Vegas is another team that just there's really not a lot going on there, and it's really hard to even see what the vision is. So I think the Jaguars come out. I think they get the win. Next, and this is without a doubt the game of the week. It's another year, another matchup between Mahomes and Allen. It's the Chiefs, it's the Bills in Buffalo, and obviously in the regular season we know how it goes. The Bills typically take the regular season matchup, the Chiefs take the matchup in the postseason. I'm going to switch it up this year. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think Buffalo, they got a big win versus the Panthers, but even if you're going to be at home, it's very, very different facing the Panthers and than having to face Patrick Mahomes. And Kansas City, man, they are, it's still not perfect, but that offense, it finally feels like the Chiefs' offense. And weirdly enough, it makes the Chiefs actually a little more likable when their offense is playing this way. And you see that speed showcasing. You see Mahomes showing his arm off. You see him taking those deep shots because it makes the game more exciting to watch. So I'm going to switch it up. I think the Chiefs win this one. Who knows what happens in the postseason, but I think the Chiefs are going to get the win here in Buffalo. I still think the Bills, they have some questions that they have to figure out. Obviously, the Panthers, it's an opportunity to get right, but you got to sustain it. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say the Chiefs win. Sunday Night Football, the Seahawks and the Commanders, and Washington really, this is a must win for Washington if they want to get their season back on track. Because, man, you look at their schedule coming up, their season has potential to really fall down a drain. You're talking about a team that was in the NFC Championship last year, and they've already matched their loss total that they had all of last year throughout the regular season. Seattle, though, they have been a very good team, really under the radar, but they've been very good. They're coming off a bye week, so they are definitely rested, but it just feels more so like a game that Washington has to have. Jane Daniels, you would think he should be back for this game, or he's going to make a push to play in this game. It's Sunday night, it's at home, so I am going to go ahead. I'm going to pick Washington to win. I do think they pull it off. Really, I mean, they need this game at the end of the day. They need this game if they want to have a shot. So I'm going to pick the Commanders to win. And final game of the week, Monday night in Dallas, the Cowboys hosting the Cardinals. And it's just, it really feels like another spot that Dallas has especially after the game they had in Denver, they're going to look for a bounce back with their offense. I think they get it. I think it's a showcase spot for Dak here to put up some yards. CD, obviously. The Cardinals are not a good team. So I think we're going to see the Cowboys come out, put some points up on the board, and get a big win, 38-17. With that being said, appreciate everyone for watching. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share out. I will see you all in the next one.